Like most drummers, I made practice way too complicated when I first started, which is a mistake I see 90% of my students make. But when I practiced less, my technique improved way faster. And even my students like Darren here are actually doubling their speed and playing cleaner and faster with less effort thanks to this practice routine. So in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to use this routine to simplify your practice so that you progress faster and actually play the way you hear in your head. When you first got into drumming, I bet it was those impressive fills and complex grooves that hooked you. The ones that make you stop and say, whoa, how did they do that? So like me, you probably dove into YouTube tutorials and started learning one cool pattern after another, but each fill has its own sticking, each its own coordination challenge, and its own specific application. And before long, you're drowning in a sea of patterns and half-learned ideas. I call this the pattern trap. And here's the problem. Nobody, not even the pros, practices by memorizing thousands of separate fills and grooves. And when you're actually playing drums, it's not about knowing all those patterns. It's about moving smoothly from grooves to fills and back, making the music flow. And that's impossible if you're piecing together random ideas you barely have control over. Now, the solution is surprisingly simple, and my students in the Drum Hub program are using it to make rapid progress on the drums. So I'm going to break it down step by step for you. Myth number 1. This is the first myth that keeps drummers stuck. You need to know hundreds of grooves and fills to be creative and expressive. The truth is that it's the complete opposite. Most drummers haven't fully explored the options they already have. That scattershot approach of learning too many things means everything ends up half-learned and sloppy. You don't have real control or expression over any of it. So how do you fix it? If you stick to just single strokes and explore all the accent combinations, all the dynamics, all the articulations you can do with that one sticking, you can go incredibly far. And you've definitely played singles before, but what can you really do with them? So here's the secret. Instead of chasing complicated patterns, strip it down to the essentials. Focus on the heart of drumming. Simple stickings with complete control. Okay, but what does that look like? Well, for single strokes, that means playing them so clean, so relaxed, and with such perfect timing that they become the foundation for everything else. And why does this matter? Well, single strokes are the building blocks of nearly every groove and fill you'll ever play. So master these, and suddenly everything else becomes easier. Most drummers are used to learning by hunting for cool patterns on YouTube, but instead, what you want to do is first master the fundamentals and then use those fundamentals to create any pattern you want. All right, so try this. Play those single strokes on your snare drum. But here's the key. Start at Tai Chi speed. No metronome. Focus on making every single note relaxed, every single note controlled. Once you can do that, add a metronome playing quarter notes at 50 BPM. Play one stroke per click and make sure each note is exactly what you want it to sound like. All right, now watch what happens when you start playing singles on the kit. And that's all from one sticking. Not 10 different patterns, not 100 different fills, one simple idea explored deeply. This is the difference between dabbling in everything and mastering the fundamentals. When you go deep on simple building blocks, you finally develop real control, creativity, and flow between everything you play. Here's the next big myth, that practice makes perfect. That if you just practice more, then you'll improve everything you want to improve on the drum. Some teachers go as far as to say,
if you sound good when you're practicing, then you're not really practicing. You should sound bad when you practice because it means you're improving your weak spots.
And at first, you think that makes sense, but it's completely backwards. It messes up thousands of musicians because of how our brains and muscle memory actually work. Because if you practice sloppily, you're programming sloppy playing into your muscle memory. If your technique is tense when you practice, tension becomes your default. If your timing is off, and you keep practicing that thing, trying to iron it out, you're just making things worse because practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. And that's a threat. So instead of grinding away at things you're bad at, you need to reset. Make it so easy and so slow that you can't possibly make mistakes. And when you do make a mistake, you slow it down even more and consciously correct it every single time. That way, you're not subconsciously encoding mistakes into your muscle memory. You're programming perfect playing, perfect technique, accurate timing, control dynamics from the very beginning. And it makes improving at the drums actually easy. Check it out. Take those single strokes again. If you're playing them at 16th notes at 60 or 100 BPM and they're sloppy, stop. That's too fast. Drop down to whole notes at 50 BPM. Make every note perfect, relaxed, in time, and intentional. Once that feels effortless, and I mean truly effortless, like you could do it while having a conversation with someone, then you can speed it up slightly. Maybe to half notes, then quarter notes, then back up to those 16th notes from before. But you build it up slowly, only moving faster when the current tempo feels like it's running on autopilot. This is what I call the 10x practice framework, and it's the difference between spending months stuck at the same level and making real, measurable progress every single day. This is the key to getting unstuck on the drums. And by the way, I made a free PDF of the 10x practice framework, so if you want to never waste another minute in the practice room again, I'll put a link below to grab it. Before we get to myth number 3, how do you turn these singles into real drumming? Everything you want to play, big or small, slow or fast, is made out of these fundamental building blocks. Try it out. Take those singles and play them steady on your hi-hat. Now add your kick drum on the downbeat and your left hand on the snare for the backbeats on 2 and 4. You've probably played this beat before, but now that your single strokes are solid, controlled, and relaxed, it'll flow and sound 10 times better than ever before. But here's where it gets really good. Flowing into fills becomes effortless. All you have to do is move your hands to different drums while keeping those single strokes going. You're not learning a separate fill brain and a separate groove brain. It's all connected. And when you combine this with control over your accents and dynamics and articulation, which we work on through the rhythmic checklist, you can orchestrate those accents around the kit, move back and forth between grooves and fills, and never drop the beat because you're flowing with just single strokes. Now, our third myth is one I hear all the time.
This fundamental stuff is boring. I just want to play songs.
I get it. When you sit down at the drums, you want to play something that sounds like music. Not practice single strokes at 50 BPM. But here's what changes when you commit to this approach. You actually get to play songs faster. You play them better, and you have way more fun while you do. Because everything, every groove, every fill, every transition is built from these fundamentals. Your single strokes, your doubles, your rim shots, and your kick drum technique. When you have control over your limbs, when you follow the 10x practice framework so that your technique and timing are locked in, learning songs becomes easy because you're prepared for anything the music throws at you. You stop sounding like you're trying to play something because you're not struggling to figure out complicated patterns anymore. You start flowing because you're just applying the building blocks you've already mastered. That's when drumming becomes fun. Okay, so if we know practice makes permanent, then we know we need to get our technique correct in the first place. But how do you do that? If you want to master your hand technique as fast as humanly possible, watch this video next to find out how.